What is up, my friends? We are back live with another late night agenda, and as always, you guys are very welcome along. I think it's safe to say today has been a busy news day, and we have lots to go through. We are, of course, going to be discussing the 30% stake that has been sold to Jeff Bezos, Eduardo Saverin, and Ahmed Batia's consortium. We'll talk you through, some of the latest details around that. As well as that, we'll be giving you a few bits that we found out today around the situation with Ibrahim MBAYE, Cody GAKPO, and a few more bits, including things not being as rosy behind the scenes at Liverpool as well. They tried to put out there. So lots and lots and lots to go through this evening. As always, I'm going to do my best to get to it in a timely manner, but any conversations or any direction that you guys want to go in, you know the drill, lash it into the comments and I'll do my best to get to it. Thank you again for joining us this evening, and look, lots to get through, so let's get going. I think fair to open up tonight with the question in the poll, which is, how do you feel about the new 30% sale or investment into Liverpool Football Club? Now, we're going to talk tonight about some of the language that's included in the deal that could allow this consortium to become a controlling shareholder over the next 12 months. More on that later, but we wanted to know how you guys feel about it. So for the first poll question of the night, that's exactly what we asked. How do you feel about the buy-in to Liverpool Football Club by this consortium? Are you happy? Are you angry about it? Or are you not sure exactly what to expect? We'll drop back in and check the results of that poll in a while, but for now, let's get cracking. So obviously, the news was announced officially by the club earlier on, and it would be unfair of me not to start the stream by reading out exactly what Liverpool Football Club posted around it. Fenway Sports Group have announced a strategic minority investment in Liverpool Football Club, entering into a definitive agreement for the sale of a minority equity stake to 1892 Holdings. Now, 1892 Holdings are, of course, made up of lots of investors, Jeff Bezos being one of them, Eduardo Saverin, Ahmed Batia, the former QPR chairman, all involved in it. But as the day went on, of course, more and more information about this started to come out, and the key bit of information that we take from it is that detail that we mentioned at the very start of the stream, that there is language in the text that could allow them to become, well, the majority holders. And let me just give you an idea of what I mean. So there was a report earlier on from Alex Sherman that said, CNBC Sports Scoop, the Liverpool deal signed today contains language that could allow the BEZOS consortium to buy a controlling ownership stake in the next 12 months at a valuation of around $8 billion. Now, he followed up later on with another post to say, I'm told the provision in the deal is not a mutual option, meaning if the consortium wants to become the controlling shareholder at $8 billion in the next 12 months, it will. So according to CNBC and their reporting, the new consortium have the option of buying a majority stake in the club over the next 12 months. So we'll see where this all leads to and what, of course, it means for Liverpool moving forward as a football club, obviously from the transfer market perspective, the investment back into the club and all of those strategic things, lots and lots that we still just don't know. Elk said, everybody get Amazon Prime so we can get Elise. Well, I honestly, I don't know what to make about the ins and outs of it. Like, I don't think anybody can say with any level of certainty what exactly is going to happen here with regards to the investment or what FSG do with the money. They're perfectly free to put it in their back pockets and sail off into the sunset unless there's a provision in the deal that, of course, probably isn't going to become public knowledge. Jonathan, how are you? Said, evening, Craig. I'm excited but cautious. Yeah, I totally get that, bro. Like, I just don't know what to expect with it. You know, it has gone through this week, as we said to you guys the other day. There's a bit of information to say it might. It has gone through. So now at least we can talk about it from a factual place that, you know, they are now part owners of Liverpool Football Club. What this looks for the club going forward or what it looks like, I guess we're going to find that one out, aren't we? Tipsy Dipsy said, would love 3 p.m. kickoffs to be streamed on Amazon. Well, I guess it kind of brings us back to the conversation about the trial that's currently being run in Singapore by the Premier League, where for about, I think it's just over £25 a month, all 380 Premier League games will be streamed live and exclusively, I think, in Singapore on the Premier League's platform. So we'll see how that one goes. From a quick search of it, it looks like the TV rights for the UK and Ireland are already sold up until, I think, 29 or 30. So it'll be interesting to see what direction it all does go in after that. Now, I have so much stuff tonight that I want to get through, including meeting with Ibrahim MBAYE that I put into the title. I want to talk about that. I want to talk about the Araujo deal and why that's a little bit concerning, and it's got nothing to do with the player or his caliber. And I want to talk about another bit of information that we found out from within the club today that kind of shows that there is no real plan here. So all of this will come over the next couple of hours, but bear with me because there is a lot to get through today, and I'm going to do my best to get to your comments. I'm going to do my best to get and read out as many of them as I can, but I also have to get through the factual stuff as well. Right, where are we? Zoshi said, Craig, will our commercial side shoot through the roof with those investors? Look, you've got to say they wouldn't be buying it if they didn't think that they could add value to it, or they didn't think that there was maybe some cross-promotional stuff that they could do. Let me just read out a few bits from Mo Chatra. And if you were on X, Mo is absolutely somebody that you should be following on there for anything Liverpool Football Club related when it comes to finance. So if you want to give him a follow, it's at and then Mo, M-O, Chatra, C-H-A-T-R-A. Mo works with our friends at Anfield Index as well, and he really is a font of financial knowledge for all things Liverpool Football Club related. So I'm going to spend the next couple of minutes reading you guys through some of the array of tweets that Mo put out today, and of course feel free to let me know your thoughts on it. So bear with me as I run through these because there is quite a few, but then again it is quite a detailed set of information. So Mo said Ahmed Bhatia to join the board as vice chair with two others from 1892 Holdings to come onto the board. This tells us the new consortium are joining not as silent partners but as a group that will have a big say in the future direction of the football club. Now I think if I'm not mistaken it's Eduardo Saverin's wife that's going on as vice chair. Goes on to say FSG are now sitting with 1.4 billion to 1.6 billion pound in their bank account today. Will they invest any of that back into the club, or will the shareholders receive all of that money? Club accounts and CH filings will eventually reveal all. Mo goes on to say, though there won't be any immediate changes to how the club operates, I expect 1892 Holdings, which is the investment firm set up to buy into the club, to be active in the personnel department in particular. May not see it now, but perhaps in the January transfer, but certainly the summer 2027, expect to see a difference. Mo goes on to say, the two big sponsorship deals that the club have in the next 12 months are the front of shirt deal and the sleeve deal. He goes on to say that I wouldn't be surprised if at least one of them ends up being a company linked to one of the investors, which again would be common sense. But this is where it gets really exciting, and this is where Mo really talks about the possibilities of what could happen. So he said, the current shirt sponsorship deal is worth about £55 million a year with Standard Chartered, though there has been a change in rules in respect of related party sponsorship deals. Amazon, for example, would be allowed to sponsor the club. He goes on to say that given the Etihad deal likely pays Manchester City comfortably in excess of £100 million per annum following significant back and forth between them and the Premier League, it would be entirely defensible for Amazon to provide 100 million or more for Liverpool's front of shirt sponsorship deal. Upcoming commercial deals aside, the involvement of the new investor should only help the club to take commercial revenues to another level. So I expect 1892 Holdings to play a key role in this. He goes on to say it's widely expected that Richard Hughes should be departing for pastures new in the coming weeks or months. I expect 1892 Holdings to play a key role in putting in place a new team that will be enhanced with not only recruiting talent but retaining them too. On top of that, Mo writes, the latter has been a problem for the club over a number of years now, with the club missing out on potentially hundreds of millions by letting players run down their contracts. One positive change would see this situation come under control. Now that's pretty much what we've been saying here for a while. For a club that is self-sustaining, the amount of money that Liverpool are leaving on the table from players who are running down their deals and leaving for a fraction of their value needs to come to an end. So that's pretty much the gist of a lot of what Mo's had to say on it. Now, of course, lots of other people have been posting about this one as well, and I'll read through some of that for you over the course of the evening. But I wanted to get this out of the way before we get stuck into the transfer stuff because, you know, it is a big deal and it is a big thing for the football club. Where are we at? I've done Zoshi, Issa Judah. Craig, this Barcola deal is draining me. I get it. I understand it, mate. It's not ideal, like we've said, but you know, I still feel as relaxed. No, I feel more relaxed. I feel like this is getting done. I I could go a bit further and give you a time frame, but I don't want to do that because it just backs me into a corner. But I get it. It is just what it is. Sometimes deals take longer. I'll be able to tie some of this in together for you in a few minutes, mate. But just let me get through a few bits and pieces, and then we'll circle back around. Daz said, "Where's the money, Jeff?" I hope not to have to ask that question, Daz, mate. I hope not to have to ask that as a fan. I hope that where the money is pretty obvious. Mr. A. Centino said, "I think this buy means that Amazon gets the rights in America first. Still don't think we get anybody at all. Let's temper expectations. We'll see what happens. I've said this all summer." I very, very much believe you're going to be wrong and they're not getting anybody part, mate. But ultimately, I understand where you're coming from, but we will be getting Barcola in. And if Gakpo's going to move on, which we'll move on to talk about in a minute, it would stand to reason that Liverpool be looking to bring in another attacker. Right, let's go with this one, said Sean. "Hey Craig, appreciate the content as always. I think that FSG exit plan will be gone in a year, hopefully means a higher transfer budget." Well, language included in the deal that was reported by CNBC. So if you're coming in late, that is something that we talked about earlier on. Let me just read it back out to you because, again, I don't like to misquote anybody. But there was important language included in the deal that has been highlighted by a couple of journalists and one from CNBC in particular that read, bear with me. Sorry, so many things today, so many things happening. So Alex Sherman said, "The Liverpool deal signed today contains language that could allow Bezos and his consortium to buy a controlling ownership stake in the club in the next 12 months at a valuation of about $8 billion. He goes on to say, "I'm told the provision in the deal is not a mutual option, meaning if the consortium wants to become the controlling shareholder at a valuation of $8 billion in the next 12 months, it will." So, look, nobody's saying this is guaranteed that they are going to do it, but it's important language that there is a provision in the deal that would allow them to do it at a set valuation within the next 12 months. Now, it is a high valuation. $8 billion is a very, very, very high valuation and probably at the upper end of its value now. So it would be interesting to see if they do exercise that right or not. Mike, how are you, dude? Nice to see you, bro. Appreciate you being in. Thank you so much, mate, for your support and a membership for 30 months as well. Dave said, "Craig's loving your shirt. Where did you get it from? I'm with you regarding the lack of transfers, feeling totally let down by the club." I bought it from the club website. Yeah, it was part of the throwback range that they brought out a while ago with the 1996 green and white shirt and that. Now, it was pricey, mate. I'm not going to lie. I think it was like €150 or something. But this shirt, the original of this shirt, is my favourite shirt of all time. And I have bought it, but I bought it in a smaller size. So I'm still looking to shift a few more pounds before I get down into it. But I think it's still available. And I think on Adidas it might be a bit cheaper than directly from the club, but yeah, it is a lovely shirt. And I've always said to you guys, the 1996 green and white one is my favourite shirt of all time. So when this came out, I had to get the blackout version. Right, so where to go with this one then? Let's start with the Ronald Araujo deal. Now, this is a bit of inside information that we got today, and I can't tell you where it came from other than it came from with Inside Liverpool Football Club. If I told you where it came from, I'm putting somebody's job at risk. And as always, you can take this information and view it how you want to. I'm not going to tell you how to view it. So the information that we received today was an interesting one, and it is that it is very much a case of things being the tail wagging the dog in the club at the minute, and there isn't a bona fide plan in place for recruitment. There is a lot of scurrying around behind the scenes, and Liverpool now looking to open conversations with agents that they already have pre-existing or good relations with. But what makes it the most interesting was one key piece of information that we found out about the Ronald Araujo deal was that Liverpool didn't pursue that deal. That deal was brought to the club. That deal was brought from his side to Liverpool, and Liverpool then said, okay, let's explore this, and they got it done. So it wasn't that Liverpool went actively pursuing him. It kind of, I don't want to say fell into their lap because there's still lots to be sorted out. But that was an interesting bit of information. And again, this comes from somebody within Liverpool Football Club, and they are... And look, I've spoken to people at all levels, to be honest with you. I've spoken to people who work in the hospitality side of it. I've spoken to people who work much higher up the club as well. And ultimately, it's a mess at the minute. There is no plan. This window hasn't been well executed. They've been scurrying around behind the scenes, trying to get a few bits done and trying to put a stick and plaster on the window. Now, doesn't mean we won't still get deals done. It doesn't mean that we won't be happy with the deals. But like I said, all the language that was used earlier on, all the bluffing and all the kindness that was shown towards the executives, the data-led recruitment team, it wasn't deserved. And I've said this over and over again. These lads are fucking spoofers and they've been getting away with it for the longest time and they haven't been doing their jobs properly. And case in point, this transfer window, as I suspected yesterday, is going to see Liverpool sell a few players. It's going to see Liverpool look to bring back in some money because let's just play this out. If Liverpool brought Bradley Barcola in and just look at him, Xhaka and Victor Munoz, that's the guts of 210 million pound. So without Liverpool recouping serious money, that's more money than we spent net last summer. And that was the big window that I'm still hearing people talking about in club circles. So it always made sense to me that we'd see Liverpool not just bring in the Curtis Jones money, but maybe look to bring in more money. And of course, today we've seen the news that Cody Gakpo and Spurs has, well, livened up a little bit. And what I can also tell you guys is that Liverpool Football Club representatives today met with Ibrahim MBAYE's family and representatives, obviously, to discuss what wages might look like, what an outline of the deal may look like. But again, not done. May not even proceed to a bid. But there was a meeting today in the London offices between Liverpool executives and people from Ibrahim MBAYE's camp. Again, it was about what a broad ranging conversation about what the deal may look like. Doesn't mean Liverpool are going to proceed with it. Doesn't mean they're not going to proceed with it. I don't know on that one. But I can tell you the conversation took place. Just like I told you the other day, the Curtis Jones representatives, Alexis McAllister's father, was in London for talks as well. And the next day that came out to be the case. So, as I said, we know where we source our information from. We don't always get things, but when we do, I'm going to say it. I'm going to say it confidently because of the way it's sourced and how credible it is. Up to you what you do with it, as I always say. You want to push back, you want to challenge it, that's absolutely fine. All I ever ask is for everyone to be respectful towards each other and back to me. And if I can answer something, I will. But obviously you have to understand there are things I cannot discuss because I need to protect people whose livelihoods are at stake. Right, where are we? This one for Jeff. How are you, Jeff? Said, I hope BEZOS isn't as stingy as FSG. I appreciate what FSG have done for the club, but they need to leave this stage for people who are more ambitious. So I'm probably with you, Jeff, mate. I don't have much resentment towards FSG. My gripe with them has always been pretty on the table. Like I've always talked about, they just haven't done enough in the market. They haven't backed the managers enough, but they've done lots of great stuff that we have credited them for. Anfield looks magnificent now. The training ground's brilliant. We got Jurgen Klopp in. We won the Premier League twice. We won a European Cup. Like there's no saying that these were terrible owners. They weren't. They were probably 80% of the way to being perfect owners. But that last bit, especially as the club has grown more and more, it made it more and more frustrating. And I've always said to you guys that the sporting director situation at our football club is an absolute disgrace. They've had so many people through the doors in that position and so many contracts go down to the bare bones or players leaving for a fraction of what they should and would be worth. It's very difficult as a fan to hear that we have to make every penny count and then to see Liverpool do things that, anybody will tell you isn't sensible and isn't good financial management and planning. So, yeah, hopefully we see a change of that as well when these new people come in and, they appoint an exporting director and other executives at the club. I hope that these people are here for the long term and I hope that these people really do have the best interest of the club and not their own careers at heart. So that's where I'm at with all of that stuff. But of course, any questions, throw them in and I'll do my best to get to them. We've a lot to get through tonight. Where were we? Did I miss Dave Tim's one? No, I've done that one. I've done Jeff's one. Muldor. It's definitely strange. FSG are selling off a lot of their holding in club terms. Pittsburgh Penguins, now Liverpool, just makes me think. So there's been a lot of people who are far better versed on anything American sports related than me suggesting that maybe FSG could be about to relook at the Las Vegas franchise again. So with the LA Lakers being sold the other day for an ungodly amount of money to a consortium that I think Jared Kushner's brother was at the head of, and that removes one of the stumbling blocks or one of the competitors for that Las Vegas NBA franchise that FSG may have had in their way. So I wouldn't be surprised to see them maybe look towards that. But again, I'm not saying that as anything as a cert. It's just things I've been reading in the media. Raekwon said, let's be honest, the job is too big for Richard Hughes and he's failed, yet he will not be held accountable for the damage left from the last 2 seasons. I agree with you, mate. I agree with you. And I'm one of the few lone voices that have been calling this shit out for a long time. You know, it's easy to paint people like me as toxic or negative, but it doesn't mean what we're saying isn't true. It doesn't mean that what we're saying isn't well sourced, and it doesn't mean what we're saying doesn't have validity to it. And I would challenge anybody to look at what's happened since Richard Hughes has come in and tell me he's been a success. You know, it doesn't take a lot to say the biggest number. And yes, he got Wirtz in, and yes, he got Isak in, but there's been some unmitigated disasters as well. They made a mess of the Zubamendi situation. They made a mess of the Canade situation. They made a mess of the Trent situation. They made a mess of the Diamande situation. So there's been an absolute mess. And some of these things have cost Liverpool Football Club substantial amounts of money. The Harvey Elliott thing I keep saying to you guys as an example, that's a £20 million mistake. So yeah, I'm going to be glad when this whole era is over and we get people in who actually, one, want to be at the club, two, are good enough to be at the club, because this is one of the biggest sports teams in the world and it deserves to be run the way it should be. And Richard Hughes hasn't been up for the job. He just hasn't. You know, I told you guys so many things over the last couple of years that show that Richard Hughes is just not at the level. He just hasn't been. And this summer, and again, where's the plan? You know, I'm fed up of reading these lads saying things like FSG's data-led recruitment is world-beating and everybody's a genius and everybody's top-notch and they're all brilliant, and I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it as a fan because it's bollocks. It's bollocks from people who have a vested interest in blowing smoke up their arse because they need the access. So I can only promise you one thing. I will always deliver my honest views on here, and I don't give a shit who it upsets. I don't care who at the club hates me. I don't care who wants to vilify me. I don't care, because I want this football club to be a success, and I want us fans to get what we deserve, which is people who are interested in the role, people who care about it like we do. Because we can't write off seasons as fans. We're emotionally and financially invested in them. These lads are going to be well compensated, and he's going to piss off and get well paid for his next role, despite the mess that he's leaving behind. And there was so much sympathy and so much goodwill when he came in, inheriting the situation with the Canade contract, with the Trent contract, with the Salah contract, with the Verge contract, and they fucked it up. They messed it up. And that's it. That is how I see it, and that is how many people in and around the club see it. And I dare say that is what a lot of people that need the club for their livelihood think deep down. They just won't say publicly because it will hit them in the back pocket. Russian Honey Badger. Hey Craig, can I ask you, how did you lose 30 odd pounds? I'm looking to lose some weight myself. I'm up to about £38 now, thankfully. I'm using Wegovy, mate. So, you know, the weight loss injection thing. I inject it once a week. Definitely was some pretty uncomfortable side effects for me, but thankfully no vomiting or anything like that. But as time has gone on and I've settled into the dosage and stuff, I'm starting to feel a bit better and a bit more in control. But yeah, that's what I've been doing, mate. That, and obviously restricting calories. I'm eating somewhere between 1,000 and 1,400 calories a day, doing a little bit of exercise, drinking plenty of water, making sure I get some protein. So yeah, you know, it's only a start, and you know, I shouldn't have let myself get that heavy again, but fingers crossed I can get it to where I want it to be, and I wish you the very best as well, my man. Dave Fallows, who was our chief scout, left and gone to Chelsea since Richard Hughes came to the club. I think he messed the entire recruitment sector, said Paul. Well, again, Paul, I want to just reiterate, as I've said before, Hughes wanted to keep Arna on. He was still backing him. And remember, he appointed him. It was his guy. So, yeah, there's been lots of mistakes. And look, mistakes happen. I'm an adult. I understand mistakes happen. But what annoys me is when the mistakes happen and they aren't being called out and people aren't being held to account for the mistakes. That as a fan pisses me off. Because how can you write about or cover the club but only cover the stuff that they want you to put out, or only cover the stuff that makes the people look like they're infallible? They aren't. They haven't been. And it's okay to say that. If you need to rely on club access for your livelihood, then you should reevaluate your position, because it's starting to get a little bit pathetic now at this point. Having people who are in someone else's back pocket talking about our credibility or our livelihoods, or that we're negative or toxic. We're not. We just have a freedom and a platform that allows us to be open because we aren't withholding to anybody. And that's what drives them mad. So I'm going to keep doing it. We're going to keep building. We're going to keep promoting the stuff that we want to promote, from a good sense, from a bad sense. But we're going to do it honestly, and we're going to do it with the best interest of the club at heart. And I'm never going to apologise for that. Where are we at? Ed. Evening, Craig. I know you're on a weight loss treatment. Please be careful. A 17-year-old from my neighbourhood died because of some injections. We really love and care for you. Well, I really appreciate the kind words. What I would say is I'm in regular contact with my doctors as well. I have an appointment on Monday. I have a blood pressure monitor at home, so I am checking and looking into all of these things. But it means so much to me. Like, I've seen so many lovely comments in the chat as well last night when I had, fair to say, I lost my head a bit last night. I came in a little bit hot. Things were frustrating day yesterday, but man, thank you. And, you know, any love that there is for me in the chat, I want you guys to know again, it's reciprocated right back to you. We really appreciate you guys being here with us, and we appreciate all your support. Right, let's keep going. Craig, there was rumour saying Hughes will slot in and Edwards will slot out. I couldn't tell you about the Edwards part. I really just don't know that side of it. But I'm very comfortable to say to you that Hughes will certainly slot in, yes. But I couldn't speak to the Edwards part because I just don't know. Right, let's check in on our poll anyway, where we asked, how do you feel about the new investment in the club? Excited, unhappy, or not sure how to feel? And most people, 57%, said excited, which is pretty cool. I'm excited, but I'm also a bit nervous because the unknown is always nerve-wracking, right? And until we have a bit more clarity in the direction of things and what everybody's ambitions are for the club, yeah, I think nerves are perfectly natural. Damien said, hey, Craig, do you think we'll be busy in the last few weeks of the transfer window? It depends what you mean by busy. So the Curtis Jones move to Inter Milan, again, that looks like there's some credibility to them coming back in. Some reports suggest they're going to come back in at 35 million euro. Some reports suggest 40 million euro. But ultimately, a lot of the reports are suggesting that, yes, he's coming in, or they're coming back in. So you would imagine at this point, there doesn't look to be much movement behind the scenes for Liverpool and Curtis Jones to come to an agreement. Myself and Connor covered a lot of these things on the Anfield Agenda podcast, which a new episode went up earlier on. If you're not in our WhatsApp, really is probably the time to sign up and join. You can do so with the link in the description, because that's where we put all of these things in immediately. Yeah, look, there is a lot happening, but what is busy? All right, let's try and link it together. Barcola, look, you know where I am with Barcola. I fully believe that deal gets done, and I really don't think we've had to be concerned about regarding hijacking or anything like that. I think it gets done. But the interesting part for me is, let's use Ibrahim MBAYE as an example. I don't know to the level that Liverpool are interested. All I can say to you is that the representatives of him, his family, were with Liverpool in the London offices today in their conversations. That's not unusual. That could be to understand what type of fees they would like, or what type of wages he'd be looking for, image, all this stuff that, you know, we don't understand properly. So take that with a pinch of salt. But lots of stuff today about Cody GAKPO potentially leaving for Spurs. So let's kind of bring it all together by bringing in the Cody GAKPO conversation. I'm going to do this chronologically if it's okay, because it's the easiest way for me to work through it. So First, the report started to come out of the Netherlands, and they said Cody Gakpo has reached a broad agreement with Spurs on personal terms. Spurs have stepped up their pursuit of the forward by making contact with Liverpool, and the chances of Gakpo making the move this summer have therefore increased significantly. On top of that, another report from the Netherlands from Rick Elfrich said Liverpool assessed in recent weeks whether Cody Gakpo could be sold. This is the interesting part. First they said yes, he could be sold. Then it was no, he can't be sold. And now all of a sudden again, yes, and they say there seems to be an opening. Spurs want to strike, and Gakpo is certainly open to that step. Another piece from the same journalist said Cody Gakpo already spoke with the Spurs coach last month. The conclusion was that he's definitely open to a transfer to Spurs. Liverpool now seems to be considering the move as well. So that journalist claiming that Cody Gakpo spoke with Roberto De Zerbi and was at least open to the possibility. More reports came out and said Gakpo is happy with the personal terms presented by Spurs, no issues there. Liverpool will demand £70 million green light once an attacker arrives. So I guess it could be that it's Gakpo out and Barcola and MBAYE in. I have to say it could be because I'm not at that level of information on MBAYE where I'm confident saying to you guys it's likely to happen or not. I don't know. But I can't see a world where Liverpool sell Gakpo and don't bring in another attacker. And if they do sell Gakpo and brought in MBAYE, just again as a jumping off point, would you have any concerns about the age profile of our wider players then? Because I've gone back and forth on this in my mind. And one way it excites me, and another way it kind of makes me nervous. It excites me because you'd have two 23-year-old wide players in Victor Munoz and Bradley Barcola. And then you'd have two kind of 18-year-old kids in Rio Engamoa and Ibrahim MBAYE. After that, maybe you've got Fede Chiesa, but I think he leaves. Not really many more options there if Gakpo leaves. So what concerns me is, would we have enough experience in wide positions? But the part that I kind of find myself wrestling with my own thoughts is, if there was one part of the pitch that I would say youthfulness is a positive, it's probably in the wide areas, because you want them taking their man on, you want them having that blistering pace, and you want them having that fearlessness. So if we have on one side, let's say, Victor Munoz and Rio on the right, and MBAYE and Gakpo on the left, or you can swap them around whichever way you want, it might be all right, you know. Certainly set us up for the future. I don't think there's any denying that. You've got a lot of youth there, a lot of possibility to grow together, gel together, get better as we go along. But we'd have to look at it and understand that it is a bit of a project. And then, of course, you look into the central side of it. You've got Isak, who's in his prime right now, Ekitike to come back in. So I think that's probably a fair assessment of where it might go to, but there could also be a surprise in here, and maybe they look at the numbers around MBAYE and it doesn't work for them. Reports last night suggested that anything north of 40 million, or excuse me, anything below 40 million or 40 million euro won't get it done with PSG, but other reports say 50 million euro might get it done. So I guess the question I'd have is, and I asked this to Connor on the podcast earlier on, if you're a Liverpool Football Club, what's good business here to get if you wanted the two gents from PSG? What's a good number? Feel free to give it to me in pounds sterling or in euro. But what would be a fair valuation and a realistic one to get both of them out of PSG? As a jumping off point, I'd say, and I'm going to use euros because that's the money we spend here in Ireland. So I'm going to say, if you got Barcola for about 130 to 140 in euros, and MBAYE for about 150. So anywhere from 180 to 190 million euro, I think would be realistic valuation based in this window. I'm not saying it's good money. I'm not saying it's cheap. But looking in the window and seeing what others are going for, I think that kind of price range to me would feel realistic. Right, now what have we got here? They'd want 60 million plus for Sarr, and he'd only be a backup for us, said somebody else. Jeremiah said 160 million pounds. You're going to have to help me out and convert that to euros, bro, because what's that, 210 maybe, 215, something like that? Keane said 170 million euro. That would be my ideal number, Keane. Yeah, that would be my ideal number. 170 million euro would be I'd consider that a good deal for Liverpool based on this market if you could get both at that. 165 for It's JB. Chai said 150 million euro. I think that's. I mean, look, I wouldn't say no, bro. If we could get it done at that price, I wouldn't say no. But I'd be very surprised in a good way if it was quite that low. Scotty reckons 170 million pound. Mr. Acentino said 185 million euro. Ancient one. YO, sorry, I can't see the rest of your name, mate. 160 million pound. Mr. Sharples, 180 million pound. Yeah, I don't think we're all a million miles apart here. So if you offset that then by the sale of Cody Gakpo for, let's say, 70. So doing the quick maths, let's call it 140 million pound, and then Cody Gakpo brings you back in 70. So that's an outlay of 70. Then you have an outlay of about 35 for Victor Munoz. That's 105. And then you have an outlay of 60 million quid, wasn't it? For Jeremy Jacquet. Then you bring in some money maybe from Curtis Jones going. I mean, it's still a pretty big outlay in the window, only for there wouldn't be as much ins and outs. And here's what the conclusion me and Connor came to earlier on when we were talking about this on the pod. It feels like we just don't have any more easy targets to move on and free up cash. Like, none of this is ideal. We've sold off a lot of players last year to recoup a lot of money. But this is why I still think we should be looking to move on some more, the likes of Harvey Elliott and stuff like that. So, to bring it all back around to the previous question, it could be a busy end to the window, but quite how busy, I'm not really sure at this point. Mark said Hughes and Edwards were aware of this for months, which explains their exit and behaviour. Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment of it, Mark. They certainly, I'm sure, would have gotten wind because the conversations have been going on, I believe, about at least 3 months, according to journalists who were reporting on it, between this consortium and Liverpool. So, yeah, you would imagine that certainly Michael Edwards would have gotten wind of it anyway. And again, yeah, if they want to bring in their own people, if they want to appoint a sporting director, this would make sense, as you said, Mark. So I think you're probably not too far off there, dude. Sky Sports News saying the consortium have an option in the last 12 months. Yes, it's for $8 billion, Gary. I was reading that out just a minute ago, bro. There was a reporter from CNBC, I believe, who were the ones that initially put this information out there, and they said exactly that the language in the deal allows this consortium to decide if they want to buy a controlling stake of the club at an $8 billion valuation within 12 months, and that it is solely on them to make that decision. It has to be, apparently the language in the deal with this journalist said, it has to be the $8 billion valuation unless they renegotiate it downwards, and they have the choice to trigger it inside 12 months or not. So yeah, that reporting seems to be on the point. Gary said Gakpo 70 million, Jones 30 million, Elliott 25. I'll carry on anyway. Chiesa 12, Endo 6. I don't think you get 25 for Elliott because a year ago when he was at a higher stock with a year longer on his contract, Gary, he was worth 35. And that was to a Premier League club who was buying a homegrown player. Now we have a year later where Elliott's had very limited to no football. His contract only has 1 year to run on it. He's a little bit older. So I don't think 25... I mean, I take it, don't get me wrong, Gary, but I think we're probably more in the 15 to 18 million pound bracket at this point. Yeah, that's where I'm at with it anyway. But look, obviously, if we're selling players, I want Liverpool to get the most money for them as well. Bison, how are you, sir? Said, read an article that Liverpool is a bargain for US investors versus US franchises. We offer a global fan base, global revenues, with broader marketing reach. Certainly, look, these guys wouldn't be buying in if they didn't see an opportunity to add to it. Now, what that looks like, your guess is as good as mine. Is it going to be some synergy between their own companies, maybe Amazon and Liverpool? Doesn't take too much of a wandering mind to think that might be possible. Again, like Mo Chatra said in that thread we read out earlier on, there's nothing stopping Liverpool now from saying, okay, well, Amazon are going to sponsor Liverpool for £100 million as the shirt sponsor. because Man City did that with Etihad and they challenged the Premier League ruling and they were allowed to do it. So there's nothing to stop Liverpool going in there and getting a deal worth a similar amount of money from Amazon or somebody else. Then the shirt sponsorship deal as well, as we said, that's up, as is the sleeve sponsorship deal in the next 12 months. So there are two chances to seek new investment in or to get, higher figures for the club. Then, of course, you've got the Adidas deal, and some reports that I've read suggest that Liverpool are making about £90 million from that each year because of how well the partnership has gone and how much shirts have been sold and whatnot. Can Jeff Bezos play on the wing? I'm going to have to research that one for you, Padraig, but I'm going to speculate no. I don't think he quite can, mate. Nor do I think he has dreams and songs to sing. Although we might have a few songs to sing. Right. Hey, Craig, what's your thoughts on stopping the 20-minute clap for Jota? Maybe a poll. We've had this discussion on the stream a few times, Tony, because people have asked it to me. And for me, it just comes down to how it's impacting the players. And I think that's the fairest to be about it, because I don't want to sit here and say I want it to stop, or I understand all sides of this. I understand why it's done. I understand why it might be an issue. I understand that it comes from a loving place. But I think ultimately it's only the players that can really answer the impact it has on them, if any. Because nobody's doing it for anything other than respectful purposes. But I don't know, mate, what type of impact this has on the players. You'd have to talk to Virgil or any of the lads about that. And I'm sure if it was an issue, it could be communicated directly with the fan base and worked out. But yeah, it's a really difficult subject to discuss, Tony, because everybody in it only has the best of intentions. This one, Fat Spicer, that could be my name, mate. Said, want to see the wingers swapping sides like Mane and Mo used to do, causing chaos for opponents. Can't wait for the season to start now and watch-alongs, etc. Sorry. Yeah, I'm excited as well, mate. I want to get the transfers done, though. I want to know what we have going into the season, because right now, I don't see any way we start the season with a deep enough squad. I just don't. I don't think we are able to build out the squad to the levels that we'd probably hoped before the season started. But there is a potential bright spot, right? If these guys do want to take over the club and have that controlling stake, they can do so and then take the club in a different direction. So I'm optimistic, but I'm cautiously optimistic about the future. I fear this season might be a little bit of an up and down, but as I've always tried to say, I'm okay with a stuttering start to the campaign. I'm okay with some inconsistent performances, because that's to be expected. A new manager, players building up fitness again, some new players in, a lot of change behind the scenes. And looking back to his time at Bournemouth as well, I think it took a good 9 or 10 games before Bournemouth really started to show the benefits of Iraola's system. So the hope is that Liverpool aren't too far away from the Champions League spots, and that by the time the new year comes around, maybe we're competitive in the knockout stages of a cup competition or the Champions League or something like that. But I think it would be unfair of me to expect a title win or anything like that in year one, especially with the lack of squad depth that we have. So I'm hoping for a top 4 finish, and after that, anything in the cups is a bonus. Soren, how are you? If we get Barcola and MBAYE, didn't we need to remove a non-homegrown player? No, MBAYE wouldn't need to be added to any list because of his age. I think it would be almost 3 years before you have to worry about putting him on the homegrown, non-homegrown list or whatever because of his age. And as I've said to you as well a few times, or maybe you missed the stream, Soren, sorry. There's a few easy wins there for Liverpool to free up non-homegrown spots. The likes of Calvin Ramsey, the likes of Fede Chiesa, they could easily be moved on. And a few others as well to free them up. So Liverpool will be aware of these things as well. But that would be one of the attractions of MBAYE. Obviously his talent as well would be another one. But yeah, for me, like I said, I had that kind of concern about would we have enough experience in wide areas with two 23-year-olds, two 18-year-olds. But also, they're exactly the age profile of wingers that usually scare the shit out of people. Young, I don't want to say cocky and arrogant, but certainly full of confidence and bravado, just get the ball down and run at people. They're the wingers that excite me, and usually they're younger players doing it. So, yeah, I'm optimistic on it, mate. But we don't have any concerns with homegrown. The club will have all that at hand. So whatever they need to do to make sure that they have enough spaces to register these guys, fair enough. And again, if they need to not register certain players for the Premier League or the European squads, I'm sure they'll make some tough decisions there as well. Andrew said, signs of improvement this season and go full throttle next season will be fine for me. Champions League is a must. Yeah, Champions League is a must all around for loads of reasons. Obviously, financial reasons, attracting players in, keeping players who are here happy. And we do need to remember as well, this is going to be Donny Iriola's first time managing in the Champions League, and pretty much the first time he's having to contend with a squad that's going to have to play 2 top-level games most weeks as well. Sonder said, MBAYE and Barcola, double announcement. GAKPO, thanks and goodbye. BEZOS and others going to definitely buy the whole club. Curtis, Endo gone too. Lovely stuff, and I'm so excited for the season. The Endo one might be an interesting one. Like, there was a report that we read out the other day that said that Liverpool have made other clubs aware that Wataru Endo could be available this summer if anyone's interested. What really fascinates me, though, is what happens if Curtis Jones goes? Because I don't think that in itself is going to lead to Liverpool bringing in another player. And I'm absolutely fine with Trainee only getting those minutes. I think the really interesting part is it doesn't look like a DM is coming in. We're going to talk a bit more in the late video about this, but it's expected McAllister stays now, and there's been some reports that the club are going to enter into a negotiation about extending him. So what does that mean for the DM position? And I've seen a piece from Jamie Carragher earlier on as well that was, questioning that. And it's a fair question, because that is an issue that hasn't been addressed in this window, and we've not seen any solutions really found from within either. So what happens in that neck of the woods or in that particular part of the pitch, I think it's a fair concern for fans and pundits to have for Liverpool. Do you think the DM may be more important than wingers? I wouldn't say more important, because pacey wingers are really important, and we were lacking in that last year. But it is important, and I don't see how we can eradicate mistakes that we had in previous years with the same profile of players, because none of them really are DMs, are they? Gravenberch did it to some extent in Slott's first year, but then he was more, licensed to get forward in the second year, and that's where the holes were appearing. It feels as if there's one spot in that midfield that might be open for a challenge. You would imagine Dominic Szoboszlai is going to take the number 8 position, and then Florian Wirtz is going to be the 10 ahead. So I guess the question is, what's the other profile of midfielder? Is it a Ryan Gravenberch? Is it Alexis McAllister? Is it Trainee only? Or is it somebody new? And it doesn't look like at this point anyway that the somebody new part will be coming in. And again, some of that down to the financials. Liverpool are currently on track, if they buy Barcola alone, to spend about 210 million quid between Victor Munoz, Bradley Barcola, and obviously Jeremy Jacquet. So again, I want to reiterate this for people who might have missed out at the start of the stream. Some information that we received today suggested that Liverpool Football Club didn't make the approach for Ronald Araujo. The approach was made to Liverpool, and Liverpool actually thought, you know what, this might work for us. I've also been told that Liverpool are, again, I want to be careful with the language that I use, resorting to conversations with agents that they're familiar with. So think of the George Mendez's of this world. It seems like there's a lot of coasting going on behind the scenes at the club by people in their roles, and a lot of questions being asked from others within the system. And as I said, I've spoken to people all the way from I don't want to say at what level at the top, because that could give some people a headache, but I've spoken to people that work at Anfield, I've spoken to people that work on the hospitality side of it, I've spoken to people that work in an executive side of it. And there are what we've always led you to believe, like, it isn't rosy behind the scenes. And, to think that it is is a fallacy, because the proof is there for you to see. The contracts, the extensions, the lack of them, the players leaving for free. All of this is, I think, self-explanatory, and I've been trying to say it for years to people, but maybe now with maybe a change of ownership coming down the line or something, maybe some more of this stuff starts to come out over time, and maybe people that are now being lauded are going to be thrown under the bus at some point. But like I said, football clubs are going to tell you everything's great all the time because they have to. They can't come out and tell you that anything's bad. They can't come out and tell you that it's a shit show. They have to project positivity out into the world, and they will look straight into your eyes and lie. It's up to you whether you believe them or not. And I think it's healthy to challenge and push back on these things. So I'm going to continue to do it. Where are we at? Hey Craig, have you heard the Leone chant? I'd seen some young lad with a guitar, but I didn't click in to listen to it because I was in the middle of researching something as I was scrolling through. So I must check it out later on, but I had seen that there was someone that had made a chant for Leone, and I definitely will check it out. J1, how are you, dude? Said the Lakers just got sold last year for 10 billion and this week for 12.5 billion. Just for controlling percentage. This is why US investors go abroad. Yeah, it's a lot of money. And I think, wasn't it, the new sale is to the fund that is headed by Jared Kushner's brother, if I'm not mistaken. But again, I have a very limited understanding of American sports and who owns what. But yeah, if you look at it that way, and then you look at Liverpool, you can see that they probably do think there's still growth there. And Liverpool are the most supported club and the fastest growing club in the United States for supporters. And Liverpool are on track to open, I think, 40 stores or something like that. Problem is that Batia is not a football person, but he is. So it isn't the problem. He absolutely is a football person. And even a cursory bit of research on it would give you that. He's been involved in QPR for a long time. And if you look at when he announced he was stepping down from QPR, you will see a lot of kind comments towards him. It might not have gone the way everybody would have wanted, but I don't think anybody ever questioned that he had good intentions for QPR. So yeah, he absolutely is a football person. He was their chairman. He recently stepped down, and he would be the one that you would say would have the most footballing background or an understanding of the footballing environment, and certainly an understanding of how important fans are and getting fans on side. That was another thing that kept coming up in our research of Ahmed Batia. So, to say he doesn't have an interest or any understanding of football is just wrong. Are you worried about the Barcola deal? Nope, not at all. And I've always tried to say to you guys, I'm not worried about that one bit, because anybody I speak to has positive things to say about that deal. Nobody's concerned that it falls apart. Nobody's concerned that anyone hijacks it. I've only ever been met with positivity around that. And that's why I continue to say with confidence, no, I don't think we've anything to be concerned about. Look, has it gone on longer than we all would have wanted? Absolutely. But there's history for this. The Vert situation dragged on as well. And again, it could be for a whole host of reasons. It could be a bit of brinksmanship over the numbers. It could be PSG looking to line up Ferran Torres, Guts and Akliouche. And Liverpool could be waiting for that to happen and then maybe, trying to get their own ducks in a row and maybe line up a few things that might help fund some of it. I couldn't give you the ins and outs of it because the truth is, I don't know. I don't know exactly what has caused negotiations to be as protracted as they are, but everybody seems to believe, and I'm talking minimum 5 tier 1 journalists that we've either spoken to or friends of ours have spoken to, yeah, that's the one thing that I really feel confident on is that everything else, like MBAYE, your guess is as good as mine, but on that one, I really am still super confident on it, yeah. Again, sorry if I'm repeating this because I don't know. Some people come in and out of the channel at different times, so I want to make sure that everybody gets us up-to-date information. So we can also, again, repeat today that Liverpool Football Club representatives at the London offices met with the family who look after, obviously, the interest of Ibrahim MBAYE for conversations. I couldn't tell you the extent of what they went into. It seems to be looking at, what the parameters of a deal might look like with regards to wages, agents' fees, maybe image rights, stuff like that. But those conversations took place today, and if that can come to them, we'll wait and see. So this is from the Mail earlier on, and I read this article, and it's actually worth a read for anybody that is interested in the Fabrizio Romano story. So, look, I've never made a secret of the fact that I despise him. I despise what he is in football. I despise a lot of what he does. And it isn't from a place of jealousy, because I never begrudge anybody their success. But if you want to find out some more information and have a more well-rounded look at the Fabrizio Romano world, there's a couple of things that I would suggest. One, Sporting Intel did a free article. An investigative journalist, Nick Harris, did an article around Fabrizio Romano that you can search. Just put in Sporting Intel Romano article and have a look for it. Today, there was a piece in the Mail. And the Mail did a piece, and I read it myself earlier on, but this piece here from Centre Gold said, just in, some of major clubs across Europe now refuse to take Fabrizio Romano's calls. They view him as a nuisance influencer rather than a journalist due to frustration over how he reports delicate transfer negotiations. And both of these pieces outline examples of things he's gotten very wrong, things that he has purposely pushed in a different direction. So if you want to have a read of it and you're somebody who likes Romano, doesn't like Romano, or just wants to find out more, the Mail piece is worth a look. And definitely, if you don't want to have to sign up for anything or pay for anything, Nick Harris, Sporting Intel, have a Google of that one. It's a really good piece, and it's a very well-researched piece as well. Right, where are we at? Sorry, I'm playing catch-up on a few things. Musa at Feyenoord, he's 24, best right wing in the Eredivisie, only 25, 30 million. Newcastle are linked, just like with Munoz. I'm not going to lie, at this moment, mate, I'm a bit nervy. When I hear Eredivisie and any player, I'm a bit nervy because, we've had a few. So, yeah, look, I've not heard anything to suggest Liverpool are in, but that doesn't mean anything other than I haven't got a clue about it. Also, Yankuba Minta, that's an option that's off the table as well now. Unfortunately for him and, of course, for Brighton, he picked up an injury that's going to keep him out for, I think it was 2 to 3 months. Let me just check this. Yeah, here it was here. So this was posted by Brighton Bubble, and they credited Andy Naylor, and they said, Yankuba Minta will be out for 2 to 3 months after he sustained a leg injury against Roma on Saturday. And obviously, we wish him the very best, and we wish him to be back playing as soon as possible. But just wanted to bring it up because he was a name that was linked with Liverpool at one point, and now that's another potential option off the table. Could you let us know why you don't like him? I'm curious. I don't like him because he's not a journalist in my eyes. He's incredibly money-driven, and he's never apologised for the Christian Atsu thing that I or anybody else have seen publicly. And to go and say that a man who was sadly found dead a few days later was recovered well in the rubble after an earthquake, which gave hope to the man's family, and Nick Harris in his reporting talks about this, I couldn't sleep at night if I did that. To not even double source it, triple source it, double check it. We're not talking about transfer. Like, let's be honest, we're all transfer hounds and we all love the stories, and some things change, some things don't work out. Fair enough. But when you're saying a human being is alive and a family are looking at this and thinking, we have hope, that's, I'm sorry, but that's fucking shocking. And that's before we get into the humanitarian aspect of Saudi Arabia and his shilling for stuff like that. It's just, it's basic journalism. Nobody would put that out there without absolute bona fide, concrete information that the gentleman was alive. Like, that is fucking shocking. And just put yourself in his family's position, that you have this hope and then it turns out to be absolute bollocks. And there are numerous examples of stuff like this that, look, I know I'm not on here to shit on people, but I am on here to be honest. And I've never hidden the fact that, yes, of course, he's very well connected. And yes, of course, he breaks a lot of stuff. And yes, of course, we've used that stuff as well. But there's an underlying thing there that is never rested easy with me. And it's the motivation. As simple as that. You know, look, take from it what you will. But like I said, the pieces are out there for you to research and have a look at yourself. You don't need to listen to me. I just think that he's a nuisance in football rather than a hint or a positive for anybody. Stevie Boy said, if Liverpool play Dom and Gravenberch as a double pivot, we're getting absolutely rinsed. I mean, it's hard to push back against that, Stevie Boy, because we have enough examples now of the fact that that hasn't worked out for us with those two playing in that position. So, yeah, we need somebody to go in there and be a number 6. You know, it doesn't mean Gravenberch won't get much games, doesn't mean Maka won't get games, but, you know, the same issues that we talked about last year, we still have in midfield. Colzer said, football clubs are like governments, always say things are squeaky clean and amazing under every situation. So Colzer, how many times over the years have I come on here, mate, and said the same thing? That football is a problem with transparency, football has a problem with people speaking honestly, and they try to control every aspect of it. And I don't like it. I don't like it because it's bullshit. And I don't like it because fans deserve better and football deserves better. And this goes all the way from the very top of FIFA all the way down. Football just doesn't seem to want to be asked the difficult questions. Questions that I think everybody should be perfectly within their rights asking. And I don't like the way football clubs control the media in and around them. It's unfair. And it doesn't give fans a fair reflection. And if you have to be party to this, or you have to, you know, not speak your mind to make sure that you can continue to work your livelihood or write your articles or do whatever you need to do at the club, then stop calling yourself a journalist. You're a club reporter, and you're a reporter that's basically an extension of the club's PR. Because where are the challenging pieces? Where are the hard-hitting questions? Anybody that tries to say anything that any football club doesn't want to hear are painted as toxic, are painted as negative, and are blacklisted. And there's very few people that can push on through that. And, you know, I've certainly probably lost any semblance of hope that we ever have any type of relationship with the club, but so be it. You know, I'm on here to give you guys as most up-to-date information as I can. And my interest is purely on Liverpool Football Club being successful and wanting the best for us as fans, for the manager and for the players. And if I think something needs to be called bullshit on, I'm going to say it. And I'm going to say it, and I'm going to try and source it as well as I can, and I'm going to try and explain it as strongly as I can. But I'm never, ever, 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 ever going to hide away. I'm never, ever, ever not going to say what I think needs to be said, because we built this platform with you. Nobody gave it to us. We didn't wake up one day and have nearly 400,000 subscribers or 12 million views a month. From the ground up, we built it with your help. We built it on honesty. We built it of hard work, and we built it out of love and respect for our football club and wanting the best for it. And some people don't like that. Don't like the fan channels exist. Don't like the freedom that they have. I love it. And I wish there was a better cohesion between the two. And I wish that dissenting voices had a place, but they don't. And all we can ever do is try to continue to speak honestly and want the best for our football club. And I don't think anyone should ever be asked to apologise for that or be labelled as, you know, negative or trying to sell negativity. No, that's not the case. We're just not taking the soup that you're trying to give us. We're not drinking the Kool-Aid because it's bullshit. And if something's bullshit, I'm going to say it's nonsense. You know, we're all brought up by our parents to know right and wrong. It's not difficult. You don't have to talk yourself into doing the right thing. Sometimes having a bit of moral courage takes balls. Sometimes it ends up costing you. It certainly caused me a lot of headaches over the years, some of them legal, some of them opportunity, some of them financial. But when I turn on my computer every day and I come on here, my only interest is to give you guys the most up-to-date, accurate information that we can and try to represent your views and opinions as we believe that you would want them done. And if we can achieve that, happy days. It's JB said either Mackett and Grab or Szoboszlai and Leone in the double pivot, no other combo. I mean, I don't know, mate. I wouldn't say no other combo. I'm sure there's a world that you could look at Mackett and Szoboszlai as an example. But look, I think it's just fair to say we haven't addressed the position that we all would have said we need to address. You know, the right back situation's an interesting one as well. I'm intrigued to see if anything comes of this before the window closes. There was a report earlier on that was talking about Dortmund, and it said, this from Florian Plettenberg of Sky Germany, who said Borussia Dortmund are exploring a deal to sign Hector Fort following Matej Moreto. Talks have taken place. Dortmund are fully informed about the details surrounding a potential move for the 20-year-old right back from FC Barcelona. Now, of course, Liverpool were loosely linked to this guy a few days ago as well. And I honestly have no idea if a right back's on the cards or not. I know we need one. I know I want one. But I couldn't tell you what happens in that regard. Cody won't leave. Well, he is, mate. You can say he won't leave all you want. He spoke to Roberto De Zerbi last week. The two clubs are working around the idea of a sale, and he's open to it, and it's been reported 3-4 different places in the Netherlands and others. So to say Cody won't leave is just giving people wrong information, even if it's just an opinion. You can say he will leave, you can say he won't leave, but it's definitely a genuine possibility. And it's been talked about at a pretty serious level. No, I think it's fair to say if he does leave, we absolutely have to bring in another player, and it couldn't just be Barcola in, GAKPO out. But it is a very real possibility that he goes. Why does everyone want us to buy Barcola? We're so urgently in need of a left-footed CDM. Look, if we ended last season, mate, and we asked what were the priorities, even the new incoming head coach said he needs a winger and he needs a pacey winger. We tried to get Diamande and we were unsuccessful in that. So then we had to pivot and we went towards Barcola. And that's why everybody wants Barcola, because Barcola's the one the club are pursuing. And we all have either pros and cons for the deal. Nobody's saying it's a perfect deal. But we can't ignore one of the big issues we had last year was a lack of direct run and a lack of pace and attack. Doesn't mean that the second part of what you've said is wrong, because you're spot on. We do need to bring in, we need to bring in a CDM, we need to bring in a fullback, and we need to think about the succession planning for Virgil as well. So, you know, I'm not trying to say what you're saying doesn't merit or doesn't have merit. It does. But the manager said when he came in straight away, he was asked, how many signings do you need? And he said, I don't know how many signings we need, but we need a winger. So it's pretty clear that he wanted that. And I tried to say to you guys a few months back as well that if I'm GAKPO and I'm looking at the situation and I see young Rio coming through and I'm already looking over my shoulder at him and I'm thinking, shit, he's probably going to take my spot soon, and certainly he's trending in that direction. Then you see the Barcola stuff. Then you're really thinking, okay, am I going to be able to play as many games as I want, or I believe I should? Because Cody GAKPO is an established international in the prime of his career. So I get it from his side. I really do. I get it from Liverpool's side as well. And I'm not saying that Liverpool are actively looking to shoo Cody GAKPO out the door. But as I've always said, in any deal, there has to be a willing buyer, a willing seller, and the player has to be open to it. And those three things at the moment could line up for Cody GAKPO to leave. Burneye said, whilst defensively we were poor last season, we also didn't score a lot of goals either. So Barcola badly needed. Absolutely. And we've lost Salah since then as well. So, you know, we absolutely do need pace. And obviously we want the load shared around. You want Isak to be chipping in with his fair share. You want Hugo when he comes back to chip in with a few. You want the wide players and you want the midfield to add a few. So yeah, we absolutely do need pace and attack. But it doesn't mean the gentleman was wrong about needing a DM, because, you know, we still do. And what do you guys think as well about our information that it was Araujo that approached us, not the other way around? It does make me think it's highly unlikely that Liverpool trigger the clause, but you can never rule it out, because if he comes in and has a super impressive season, it's a realistic number, 55 million euro, about 47 million pound. It's certainly in the right ballpark, but looking down the line, you've got a situation where we've got plenty of young centre-backs. Now, Virgil's contract's up at the end of the season, so if we work on the basis that Virgil's going to leave, I think you need a left-sided centre-back, and you need somebody in the 25 to 28 bracket to lead the defence. And yes, the future looks really bright with the likes of Ndai, Ndoko, Nalo's still there, Jake, Leone, the option, and we'll talk about Kwanzaa more in a minute, but the option to potentially get Kwanzaa back as well. So there's certainly options there for Liverpool. I just think, again, we can't just remove experience. Whatever about wide positions, maybe the petulance of youth is a good thing, but at centre-back, I do think we have a deficit of leadership when Virgil leaves. So I'm hoping that ITK stuff about Schlotterbeck is true, and that maybe that's why Liverpool have a loan here, and then next year we go back in for him. I hope. Where are we at? Coles, I've done that one. Wayne, how are you, dude? Said, wonder if Everton fans will cancel their Amazon Prime subscriptions, knowing it'll help us. WFM, Craig. Love to you and the family. Yeah, it is a little bit sweet now that every time we buy something with Amazon, or when somebody does, it potentially helps us a little bit. So, yeah. And look, there's loads of aspects. Like when we think about Amazon, obviously we think about Amazon as the global behemoth of selling and shipping, but Amazon Web Services is also a really big factor, a big stream of their business. Their logistics would be huge for Liverpool as well, and certainly opening up and then going into new markets, Amazon would be very helpful. So yeah, it's definitely exciting to see how these things might synergize over the course of their involvement with the club. Tony said, MBAYE on loan with an obligation to buy next summer. I mean, it's possible. It's sort of just kicking. Like, my problem there, Tony, is I think next summer is going to be a really busy summer for us anyway, because of a lot of players leaving, a lot of, 11. I know we keep bringing this up, but 11 as it stands are out of contract in a year. So some of them will have to be replaced. Some of them maybe youth players can step up, and some of them maybe don't need replacing. So my worry would be if it's MBAYE on loan with an obligation or an option to buy. I don't know. I just wouldn't want that being used next summer as a reason to not justify another bit of business. But let's wait and see. Itachi said, I really believe we get both deals done with PSG. So, again, without name dropping, I know some people who feel optimistic that the MBAYE stuff could happen, but I'd be a liar if I said to you that I've been met with the same level of confidence as I have around Barcola. When we've spoken to people, or people we know have spoken to people, it's always been Barcola's going to happen, MBAYE is possible. Now, some people think it's possible from the viewpoint of it's likely, but I can't say anything with a level of certainty there. I just couldn't do it. I hope you're right. I hope it happens, but Barcola's the only one that I feel like, I have confidence on. Star Replier said, thoughts on Achimpong, cheap Swiss Army knife. So the information that we had, and this is maybe a week old, so take it with a pinch of salt, was that Chelsea are rebuffing any interest in Achimpong from Liverpool. And they did do 2 years ago when we looked at him. And apparently, I think the phrase that was actually used to me was cold shoulder is what we're getting when we're in interest in him. So we do have a long-standing interest in him. And I dare say if Chelsea made him available, we'd be interested. But at this moment, or at least the last thing we heard a week ago, we were cold-shouldered in any advancement towards him. Mattman said, hey mate, Wirtz is a wonderful footballer with the ball at his feet, but he won't put a foot in and one of the reasons we get played through on the counter. I understand where you're coming from. And it wasn't just him. There was a few people last season that were pissing me off in that regard. There was a lot, like McAllister annoyed me a few times last year as well. And yes, sometimes I get where you're coming from. But I do think ultimately we're going to see the Wirtz that we hope for this year. You can see the understanding between him and Isak seems really good. And I think he understands the physicality of the league. And I think if we played a higher intensity with him in his preferred role and the counter press that he brings, yeah, I'm hoping we see more positives this year than maybe we seen last year. But really good insight, Matt Mann, thank you, mate. Calder, good answer, Craig. Everybody has a voice, not just the media. LFC TV, MUTV, like BBC, RT, etc. Information should be available, and it's up to the person who believes what is correct or not in all aspects of life. 100%. I was brought up to question everything. Now, not to be negative, but to question it. If you didn't know something or didn't believe something was on the level, ask a question. And if anybody's on the level, they shouldn't have a problem answering it. You know, obviously certain things in football or in life are going to be commercially sensitive, and those bits of information aren't out there. But to believe that the football club said this, therefore that's gospel, they're the type of people, Coulter, that always confuse me. Because they'll look you in the eye and lie to you like a politician or anybody else because they're serving their own interests. So yes, I'm with you. Look at everything, challenge me, challenge Liverpool, question journalists, question anybody. Because it's healthy. And if you know the answers, if you're involved in it, you shouldn't have a problem answering the questions if you can answer them. If you can't answer them, say you can't answer them. But football and transparency has been a bugbear of mine for a long time. And I really, really, really get a bee in my bonnet seeing fan channels constantly looked down upon by people who are just jealous of the freedom that a lot of fan channels have. And it's as simple as that for me. I will defend fan content forever. I'm not saying I agree with all of it. I'm not saying there are people who I don't like in my industry. But I'm proud of where the industry is. I'm proud to have a small part to play in it. And I love the freedom of doing this. I love being able to speak with openness and honesty about how I view things. So yeah, for me, I'll always try to stand up for and defend fan content because I think it's important. Because one thing from fan content is it's coming from a place where people love their club and they want the best for their club. And that's a good starting point if you ask me. Johan said, we were all down after last season, but what if a one-time thing and Gravenberch, Maka, Kirkes, Frimpong comes back and are top tier? Look, that's the hope, bro. Absolutely. You know, you're right in saying that we were all down last year, and there's only one way from that, and that's up. And there's been a lot of stuff in pre-season that's looked better, but we still have some vulnerabilities defensively from set pieces. It's going to take a bit of time to get up to speed with what Andoni Iraola wants from the players, their fitness. You know, he said himself after the Monaco game, at the moment, 30 minutes seems to be the most some of these guys can last at the levels that he wants them playing at. So yeah, lots to be upbeat about. But it's the unknown. And it's the same with any season. Like last year after the window we had, if you told me we'd have had that season, I'd have said you were mad. And I'd have probably called you negative. So I didn't see it coming. And yeah, certainly this season, I do believe those players who maybe underperformed a bit last year or were settling in a bit will step on. And I do hope that let's say Frimpong at least doesn't have the injuries that he had last year, because then we've a better understanding of what we have of the player, whether he's good enough or not. Last year was so stop-start with injuries. I think he had 4 or 5 different ones, which is so unlike him from his career up to this point. Unfortunately, I think the midfield, Dom, will be moved to the right wing. In the middle, it'll be Maka and Gravenberch with Flo playing up front. So my understanding of it is that it'll be Rio moved to the right wing. Whether that's Rio and MBAYE, whether it's Rio and Victor Munoz, I do think Rio is looking towards the right. I would believe that Barcola's coming in to play off the left. And yeah, we've seen no suggestion that it's going to be Dom on the right wing, even in pre-season. So I doubt it, because he doesn't have the traits that Iriola said he wants, and he wants his wingers to be able to play off both sides as well. So I really think Szoboszlai is going to be the 8th this year, and the right wingers are going to be either Rio, maybe MBAYE if he comes in, or Victor Munoz. Romero going to Atleti is such a good fit. It is, yeah. When I seen that one yesterday, Corbin, I thought, oh well, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes sense. Uh, G. Fantasy said, this channel is the Batman of Gotham City. We really appreciate your work. Look, mate, I'm just grateful for you guys to be here and for us to be able to have these chats. Like last night and days like that, it carries over for me. I hate it. I hate when I feel like I've let you down. I hate when I feel like I'm snappy or grouchy. Because I am so grateful, and I will work my ass off to try and make sure that our community continues to grow and that people can come in here, be themselves, have some fun, hopefully get the news that they need to keep them up to date with Liverpool Football Club. And, transfer windows are a bit of an emotional roller coaster. There's some ups, there's some downs, some highs, some lows, but ultimately, I always find that when the window shuts, I'm kind of relieved that all that drama has come to an end, because it's really draining and it's hectic. So I'm looking forward to just football. And this weekend, obviously, we've got 2 games on Sunday. Connor's going to be covering the early game against Como, and I'll be on for the evening game. So yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And then, of course, it's countdown to the game against Newcastle, which is, just over, 9 days away. Where do you see Ekatike fitting in when he comes back? I mean, it sounds like such a simple answer to give you, Paul, but honestly, I think it'll be between him and Isak to rotate, because I don't think Isak's going to be able to play 2 games a week all season. So I do think we're going to have to, you know, rotate where possible. And also, let's be fair, it's going to take Ekatike a while to get back up to speed as well. But you'd hope that maybe Areola sees a world where you can play 2 of them in certain games, but definitely having 2 of them as options and challenging each other, that can only be a good thing for the football club. Because if we're only going to play with one number 9, then we've got £200 million worth of strikers who are going to battle it out with each other to be that number 9. So hopefully it leads to good things, because I think we've all been won over hugely by Hugo since he's come in. I love the man. I think he's been a breath of fresh air. And I really feel for him with the Achilles injury. I mean, that is a tough injury. So, hopefully he's back as soon as possible. And hopefully Isak's able to get through to that point without having any injury concerns or anything like that, because that would be a big concern. Carbon said, hey Craig, I would keep everybody for depth for the season and sell whoever is underperforming and keep who we need. But that's just not feasible, because sorry to be so blunt about it, but let's just look through some of them. So Elliott is up in a year, and you can't not take the money for him now. Jones is up in a year. You can't not take the money for him now. I'd go a step further and say I would rather sell Gomez, although it looks like there's no likelihood of that because he's injured. So that's another player that will probably walk out the door for free next summer. Costa's contract is up in a year, and I don't think he's good enough, so I'd have sold him now. So there's huge problems coming down the line for Liverpool to fill out the squad more, and we won't be able to just do it from youth players. So some of it's going to take us going into the market, and that's just to get us back to a level that we're already at squad-wise. So I don't think we can just keep everybody and say the manager will know who he thinks he can work with. And I honestly think we got a big hint in the Monaco game with the players who were playing second half and the ones who came on about 75 minutes. So I'm saying Elliot, Chiesa, that to me seemed like they're on the way out, because the manager didn't seem to really want to include them. And I also have to say that in pre-season, he's probably right, because I love Elliot and I wished he had stayed last year, and I wished that Liverpool had given him a chance again. But I haven't seen anything in pre-season to make me feel like keeping him around this year, other than my own love of the lad, is the right thing to do. You look, man. Hope you're good. Much love. Anders, lovely to see you again, bro. I'm all right, mate. I'm all right. Yeah, just busy. Today was a hectic day. So much news through the door. So many little bits and pieces came our way. So again, I'm going to try and tell you a few bits of everything that we've gone through in this stream. And there will be a late news video because there's another 4 or 5 stories that I haven't even got round to yet that we're going to touch on in the late video. But here's kind of a synopsis of where we're at today. We were told earlier on from somebody inside the club that it was Araujo's camp that approached Liverpool rather than the other way around. And look, that's okay. But Liverpool also, this same person was saying, Liverpool are at this point just basically reaching out to agents they've worked with before to try and figure out some stuff rather than having any preordained, well-worked plan around it. Also want to say that Liverpool met with Ibrahim MBAYE's family today, who are also his representatives in the London offices. And that was obviously just to look at the outline of what a deal might look like. I'm not saying it leads to Liverpool making an offer, but it shows the interest is real. And there was also a report, where was it? Ben Jacobs on Ibrahim MBAYE said Liverpool like MBAYE. There's German clubs too. Leverkusen, we can all not necessarily the front runner, as the player's choice will be key, but they're in the most advanced talks. There was another report though around Ibrahim MBAYE today, or MBAYE, excuse me. Where is it? No, not that one. Is it this one? So this one said Manchester United is positioning itself for Ibrahim MBAYE. The Mancunian club has made inquiries in PSG regarding the 18-year-old winger. Paris Saint-Germain would want about €50 million. Liverpool, which has explored, has cooled their interest. Well, they're wrong on that report, aren't they? Then there was stuff from Romano about Mika Götze getting close to a 55 million package with PSG. Where's this one I'm trying to look for, though? Around MBAYE. So yeah, this one, it was Tanzaloik over in France who said that Liverpool have made advances in recent hours for MBAYE and are now the most active club. So that kind of tallies with our reporting that his family were meeting with Liverpool today as well. Now, obviously, I'm not a journalist, this person is. So certainly seems we're in the mix for MBAYE, but I'm certainly not at a point of saying he's becoming a Liverpool player because I don't know. I just think it's a possibility, particularly with the news about GAKPO. Bison, how are you, dude? Said, want to address your comment earlier. I'm here because of the community you've built, fans who all love our club, and where this means more actually means that. Be proud of what you've built, and thanks for making it possible. That's lovely, mate. Thank you. You know, I do often doubt myself. I have imposter syndrome in a huge way because I didn't come in actively looking for this to become a job or anything like this. I came into this whole thing out of loneliness from the start, and I've said this multiple times. So my journey in the content world started with absolute anxiety and, you know, locking myself away from the world. And then I got a Twitter account maybe 12 years ago, started posting about Liverpool on Twitter and was so nervous I didn't even use my real name. I went by a pseudonym on there. That then led to me getting the opportunity to start to write a few Liverpool pieces for Anfield Index. And again, this was many, many moons ago, about 10 years ago. So I did some writing with Anfield Index, and that seemed to be received okay, but again, was still using a pseudonym. Then eventually I thought, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to use my name. So I put my name out into the world, and then I started to do the Writers podcast on Anfield Index, which was my first time doing any podcasting. Now, I did have a background in some pirate radio and stuff when I was younger, so I was comfortable around a microphone. So I did that, and the podcast was great, and everybody at Anfield Index was lovely, and I really enjoyed my time. But I'm an ambitious dude, so I wanted to go and start my own thing. So I learned how to edit a podcast, I learned how to record a podcast, and thank you to Nish for helping me with that back in the day as well. So then that led to me starting a few different variations of podcasts around Liverpool. Then Connor came into the mix, who owns half of the company with me, and Connor's a graphic designer by trade, and Connor was helping me out with the artwork for the podcast. And then he said to me, we should go on YouTube and give it a go. Now, I didn't watch YouTube. So I knew Mark Goldbridge, I knew about the United Stand, and I seen a few clips, but I wasn't somebody who actively watched much stuff on YouTube. Around that time, I would have had an Anfield Rap subscription, I would have been paying for their tall player, and I would have been enjoying their podcasts. So I said, you know what, feck it, let's give it a go. So we went onto YouTube, and we used to stream quite late. We used to start at about 9 o'clock, and then we would run streams till about 1 a.m. some nights. And that just, I came at it from a perspective of, and I think this actually benefited me in the long term. I didn't know what the norm was. So I came onto a stream and, I wasn't coming on here to give you my views for an hour. I came on and I just chatted. That was it. I just chatted with people. And over the course of time, few people found us. It grew into dozens, hundreds. People kept coming in. We tried to be consistent. We tried to always get better and better. And then, a lot goes by and here we are. Some 8 years down the line, the most watched Liverpool fan channel in the world. And I don't know how we got here, but I know I'm eternally grateful for it. And I know there's a few bits of luck along the way, but I also know we work really hard every day to make sure. We've always treated this like it was a professional thing, even when it wasn't, because it's a passion project, and passion projects are very unique because I'm a big believer in this, in that you don't go and look for the money. If you're good enough, the money's a byproduct. If you're good enough, the money comes naturally. So we never looked at this and thought this has to become a job, this has to become anything. It's like, how do we make it the best it can be? And if we make it the best it can be, the other stuff should take care of itself. And that's kind of been how this has gone. We're always driven by competitiveness from me, because I want to be number one. I'm a competitive bastard. I have been my entire life. Anyone that knows me will tell you that about me. But I love people, and I'm a hermit. I don't go outside much. I don't socialize much. I lock myself away a lot of the time. So this suits my way of life. This suits my hours. This suits me as a human being. And it allows me to devote the time that I need to do to it, to run it with a passion. And that's kind of our journey to where this channel has gotten to where it is here. And along the way, the most important part of it all, Bison, is that we grew our community, and we did it in a way that we weren't putting up with any shit. And I've probably cost this channel 50,000 subscribers by blocking people who came in to be an arsehole, or who came in to hijack the chat, or who came in to run people down. Because there's enough places on the internet where that's looked past, and it wasn't going to happen here. So yes, sometimes I'm a little bit overly sensitive, but it comes from a point of, I want you to feel like you can come in here on a day where you're not feeling your best and get that virtual hug. I want you to be able to come in here and be met with the same compassion that I was met with in my weakest moments, in my vulnerable moments. Nobody judged me. Everybody came in and welcomed me, supported me, and helped me grow as a human being and helped my confidence. So that is always at the forefront of everything Connor and I do on this channel. It's about putting the content first, keeping people up to date, and making sure that any parents, I swear, and I get some people don't like me swearing. I think it's my birthright as an Irish man. But I want your parents to come in and go, you know what, this dude's all right. I'm okay with my son or daughter watching this guy. And if we can do that, I'll take it as a fucking win. Because I'm so grateful for this. I'm a normal dude. And if you meet me, you'll always say the same thing. I'm just a normal fella. I don't get above my station. I don't think I'm anything special. But I do appreciate every minute of it. Every goddamn second that I'm here, I appreciate it, because I probably shouldn't be here. I probably shouldn't be still walking this earth, but I am. And I want to make the most of it. And I want to give my children the belief that any obstacles that you get, any problems in your life, grit your teeth, get through it, and keep moving forward. You never know what's ahead of you. You never know what life has in store for you. And that's it. That's the journey. That's how we're here. And that's why I'm so adamant that you are the ones that I listen to. You are the ones who matter to me, not the club, not people who want to diss us, not people who see a clip of us and think they know everything about me and our community. No, my favourite words to hear are, I came in to troll you, but you're actually a decent person. And I stuck around, and now I watch. That to me is the biggest win that we can ever get. Because I've always tried to be fair and say, I get it. I get you see a clip of me and think I'm an asshole. I get you see a clip of me and think I'm obnoxious or I'm all about negativity. But I'm not. I'm just passionate. And that passion sometimes comes out in ways that I regret. But it's always authentic. It's always genuine. And I always want the best for our people, because without you guys, I wouldn't have anyone to talk to each night here. I wouldn't be here interacting with people from New Zealand, Australia, Canada. I wouldn't have met the people that I've met out and about or when I travel away on holidays. It's awesome. And I'm living a dream and I don't want it to end. So yeah, thank you again for all of it. Thank you for all of your continued support, because, you know, you'll find people better at this than me, but you won't find many people more grateful for the opportunity than me. Chris said, I think we don't sign another winger after Barcola, then sign Rayan in January when his release clause is active. Plus, I want a right back and Kone for DM. I have to say, on the release clause for Rayan, I don't think we ever pay it, because the release clause is £130 million, or at least that's what it was reported as. And as much as I love the player and I'd love you to be right, I struggle to see Liverpool pay that. But the truth is, as I've said all the way through, Chris, I don't know anything definitively around MBAYE. I don't know what happens here. I know Barcola is likely to happen, like I keep saying. I'm really confident about that. But it's the GAKPO part that just makes me think surely they have somebody else. Or surely they wouldn't even entertain selling Cody if they didn't feel that they could bring in a second player in a wide position. But you're absolutely right. We need a right back. We need a DM. And that's why I'm going to be frustrated at the window. Because yes, the Barcola thing will happen. There will be an outpouring of positivity. We'll all be buzzing about it. And some people will forget about the other things. But I won't. Because I always write these things down. What I wanted at the start of the window, and then I compare it at the end of the window, and I asked, did we achieve what we set out to do? And I don't know any Liverpool fan that thinks that we've had the perfect window or anything even close to it. So you're absolutely right, Chris. We need a DM, we need a right back. So I wish that the people that wrote this bollocks were held to account, that said Liverpool have all their plans in place. Liverpool have succession planning done. Liverpool have deals lined up. All they need to do is execute them. Do you know what I mean? And we're the ones that put out shit into the world and are negative. We're not lying to people, though. We're not filling people full of false hope. That's what gets me about this. They look down their noses at us when they're the ones that don't have a spine. Itachi said, love you as a content creator, love you as a man, love you as part of my daily routine, always looking forward to the late night agendas. It's very weird calling yourself a content creator. It's so strange because, you know, I'm from an era where this wasn't a job when I was growing up. YouTube wasn't a thing to the extent it is now. So whenever anyone asks us what we do, the answer is usually we run an independent media company. That's usually the answer, because I even cringe saying the words content creator, and I certainly don't use the words influencer because I don't have Twitter, I don't have Instagram, I don't have TikTok by design, because I'm not mentally able to deal with the trolling and the negativity on there. So I'm really proud that I've been able to do this without really living my life on social media. You know, look for it. You won't find a Craig Houlden account in most of the places because I don't have them. Anything that Anfield Agenda puts out, I don't have any say over, other than if it's my content, you know. But I don't put the posts up. I'm not on Instagram. I'm not on TikTok. So to do this without having to give up privacy or live my life on social media, I'm really proud of that. I'm really proud of that. And people that say that I'm all about money, that's why I always laugh at them. If it was all about money, I could have monetized this a lot better and myself a lot better. You know, I don't really give a shit about the money side of this. It's a byproduct, but being good at it and delivering the best shows that we can is more important to me than the rest. The rest should take care of itself. So thank you, Itachi. And, you know, again, want to apologize for yesterday to everyone, because I came into the stream in bad form because of technical stuff that was going wrong behind the scenes. I want to say huge thank you to Connor for working with me throughout the day today to correct that. And I just hated it. I hated it. Last night I finished the stream and I went in and my missus knew straight away I wasn't happy because I let you all down, and that pisses me off. You know, I shouldn't be coming in here hot at the start of a stream and already, you know, on the edge of a row or a fight. I probably should have learned and not stream, but again, I apologise for coming in hot yesterday. We love you, man. You can be proud of yourself. Thank you. Itachi as well, bro. Thank you. Appreciate you, mate. Always do. Paddy Wacker said thank you for the late night hugs. And thank you, Keane and Connor, legends. Appreciate that as well. Or Keane, core legend. Yeah, look, again, the moderators, I don't say this often enough, but I couldn't do this without them. They're a big part of what makes me able to stream, by looking after the chat, by making sure that the assholes go away quite quickly. So yeah, thank you to the moderators. Thank you to Keane as well. Yeah, I just appreciate all of you. So again, thank you. Skate Penguin. Cheers, my dude. I respect the vulnerability. It's yeah, but like it's okay. I think this is where age helps me a bit, because I wasn't ready. If I was 30, I wouldn't have been ready for this, because I'd still be angry and I'd still be in a different phase of my life. Between psychology, counselling, and a few other things, and I've learned it's okay to be vulnerable. It's okay to show emotion in a vulnerable way. That's okay. You know, I used to think I had to be, you know, a manly man. And I am, to some extent, a manly man, but I'm not. It's okay to show vulnerability and say I need help at times. And that's why I'm so adamant about mental health. Because without your support, I wouldn't have evolved into the person that I can now start to look in the mirror at. It was your acceptance of me as a human being and my neurodeficiencies or differences that gave me the confidence to do it. So you've never had to thank me for it. It's always me that should be saying thank you to you guys for being here and for letting us into your homes every evening. It means a lot. G'day, Craig. Do you think FSG want to wait for Andoni to prove himself and then go big in January? I don't know, mate. I mean, just to go back to something that we talked about at the very start of the stream, it might not even be their decision for that much longer. Let me just explain what I mean by that. Sorry. Yeah, here we go. This one was it? So there was a reporting earlier on from CNBC, and a gentleman called Alex Sherman reported to say, CNBC Sports Scoop, the Liverpool deal signed today contains language that could allow the BEZOS consortium to buy a controlling ownership stake in the next 12 months at a valuation of $8 billion. The interesting part came, though, with a follow-up post. Alex writes, I'm told the provision in the deal is not a mutual option, meaning if the consortium wants to become the controlling shareholder at an $8 billion valuation in the next 12 months, it will. So again, what he's saying there is this new Ahmed Bhatia-led consortium with Eduardo Saver and Jeff Bezos and others has the option within the next 12 months to take a controlling stake. Doesn't say a full buyout. It might lead to that, but a controlling stake in the club at an $8 billion valuation. And it is on the consortium to decide whether that's acceptable or not to FSG. So they can do it if they so want to at that valuation. You know, let's wait and see. My inkling is they will. I don't think you get involved to be a minority investor and hands off. I mean, it's yet another thing I think Christian Perslow was really, really wrong about. And he did an interview where he was talking about what he thinks will happen, and everything that he said in that interview, the exact opposite has basically come out today. And it's interesting to see how this goes, because who knows? You know, football is mad. You know, FSG bought the club for 300 million and look what it's worth now. And who knows what the future holds and what way football is going, but it doesn't look like the money is stopping anytime soon, and it looks like football business continue to grow and grow and grow. But here's the hard part, I think, for us fans. It's getting tougher and tougher to talk yourself into it every year when you're so distant from the realities. Like, football used to be a working person's game, and you could identify with the footballers, you could identify with the people on the pitch. It's getting more and more difficult with the sums involved in it now to feel that same connection, which is why the uniqueness of Liverpool appeals to me, and the city and its people and its roots. And yes, you want to move with the times, but you'll always kind of have that romantic element of it as well, where it should be just about the emotion. It should be about the winning, not the finances of it. Like, we shouldn't all need to be accountants or, financial experts to figure out what's going on at a football club. We shouldn't even know. I wish we didn't know who the fucking executives were, the sporting director was. I wish the owners were silent and just wrote the checks, and we were just dealing with the people that, are actually important, the players and the coaches. This report from PSG Info said, according to Le Parisien, PSG have refused two proposals from Liverpool for Barcola, 100 million and 110 million, too far from PSG's demands, at least 160 million for the French international. So, that seems to have come down 10 million euro from the 170 that was doing the rounds. But again, there will always be a middle ground in this. Nobody's going to pay the first, nobody's going to pay the top. There will be some concession and some middle ground. So this Andoni Iraola era account posted to say, here's a look at Andoni Iraola's win percentage throughout his managerial career. He had a 41% win rate at AEK Larnaca. At Mirandes, he had a 36.7% win rate. At Rayo Vallecano, a 39.9% win rate. And Bournemouth, he had a 37% win rate. Will you resign if Barcola doesn't sign? No, I'm going to stay on just to annoy you, mate. Yeah, no, I've decided that, whatever I may or may not have done, now I'm just going to stay on to annoy you because, you're trying to troll me and, again, take cheap shots. So, no, I won't resign, mate. I'll stay on here and wind your dumb ass up every day because, that's what you do, isn't it? You sit there, hoping, waiting, praying, eagerly awaiting every word that comes out of my mouth like a good little bitch, and then come in and try and say, will you resign? I won't do fucking anything you want me to do. I will do what I want, when I want, at a time that I want, and you'll just sit there and watch it like a good little boy. Now stop pretending that you have any say or influence on my life, you sad little fuck, and just sit in the cheap seats and watch. Watch me do something that you don't have the balls to do. Watch. Enjoy. It's pretty awesome. So you either get on board or you fuck off. It's as simple as that. But what you don't do is have any say or control over anything I do. It's really simple. You can go and start 20 more accounts. You can put in 50 more super chats trying to troll me. You can do what you want. All you're doing is adding to my community. Do you not see that? Like, I hate you, but yeah, here I am every night watching, commenting, pushing the channel out. You're doing my work for me and you're too fucking stupid to realise it, you dumb little bastard. Like, it's not rocket science. Ignore something and it then has less significance. Continue to be here pushing my channel. Oh, you're doing work that I couldn't do. You're saving me a fortune in marketing. You are making me a wealthier man and professing to hate me. How do you not understand that, you dumb little fuck? I've tried to be nice with you. I've tried to approach it in a different way. But ultimately, I have to just spell it out for you. Continue to talk about me. Continue to bitch about me on Reddit and every other platform. But just don't stop. Don't stop talking about me. Because when you stop talking about me, I have a problem. So you do you, bro. You continue to talk about me, badmouth me, whatever you want. But deep down we know you'd love a sniff of me boxer shorts. I'm there every time in your head, rent-free. And it's fucking glorious. It's glorious. So again, there's only one winner in this scenario, dude. And it's me. Because you're still the sad little fuck on the internet, wasting your life every night, putting money in the pocket of the person you profess to ignore and hate. I don't like lots of people. I don't like AFTV. So do you know what I do? I don't watch them. It's not fucking rocket science. And you don't get to come in there when I have a pop back and go, ha, I won, you're so easily triggered. I win all the time because you'll never outsmart me. You don't have the balls to do what I do. You're a faceless prick on the internet who sits behind a keyboard and thinks they're great. Until life gets up and gives you a smack in the mouth, and it is coming. I fucking promise you it's coming. Someday you will write the wrong thing to the wrong person and reality will come like a motherfucker. And I'm going to smirk my ass off when it happens. Simple. That's it. Summarise. Job done. You're irrelevant. Learn that. And if you really hate me so much, why are you here? Right? I'll tell you why you're here. Because you're Craig Curious. That's why you're here. You're Craig Curious, like many others. And you claim to hate me, but here you are. Because you're fascinated, aren't you? You can't take your eyes off me. More people. Craig, I presume you see a psychologist. Let me worry about seeing a psychologist, bro. You let me worry about my mental health. It's not for you to be concerned about. That's lovely language. Again, I don't give a fuck. Why have you got against swearing? What have you got against swearing? Other than another thing you want to have a pop at me about. There's no worries about swearing. Don't worry about that. The language of someone's character is more important. I could be on here telling your kids that women are horrible, that they should look down their nose at them without swearing. Is that okay? Again, use your brain. I'll swear, let me worry about that. Watch, don't care. Up to you. But you don't get to tell me how to live my life or how to act as a human being. I'll look after me and I'll continue to look after me. It's not hard. Like, do you think your doctor doesn't swear? Do you think your solicitor doesn't swear? Do you think that the school teachers don't swear? They all swear, dude. All swear every day. It's just some of them like to pretend their shit doesn't stink and some of them like to pretend that they're better than other people. I'm a working class dude. I say how I feel. It's as simple as that. Every time I give this man a chance, fuck you. Don't give me a chance. I don't care. Nobody asked you to give me a chance. You're in here. So why are you moaning at me? Every time I give this man a chance, I don't care, dude. Because you know what you haven't done? You haven't come in and asked a question. You haven't come in to be part of our community. You haven't come in to share your love of the football club. You haven't come in to talk about transfers. You've come in to sit there and wait for me to say something you don't like. It's transparent. I don't care. So get over it. Just stop wasting everyone's fucking time. I don't need you to give me a chance. I don't need you. I want people who want to be here for the right reasons, not people who are waiting for some reason to have a pop. Simple. Enjoy it. Be part of our community. It's full of lovely people. Oh no, Tony Blakemore's off. Oh, Tony, don't leave me. Now, what will I do without Tony Blakemore, who I've never seen before in the chat? Oh no, Tony, don't, mate. I'm going to have to tell the kids we can't go on holidays next year now because Tony's upset. And also, mate, I don't care. Again, it's simple. It's fun. Stop letting trolls get to you. No. I'll look after me, Danny. You don't tell me what to do. And they're not getting... Do you not see the smile on my face? No one's getting to me, bro. This is just a bit of a laugh for me. Some of what I'm saying is sarcasm. Maybe it's not coming across, but no one's getting to me. Don't worry about it. Stop giving in to trolls more in Liverpool talk. Dude, I've spent an hour and 45 minutes talking about Liverpool tonight, from start to finish. So forgive me if I take a few minutes of my day to have some fun with some trolls, because that's what it is to me. It's fun. So why is it's always stop talk? Why isn't it just that we don't accept the trolls? Why isn't that the philosophy, right? Would that not be a fair thing to say? Because ignoring the little arseholes doesn't really make them go away. So why don't we just boot them out of the community and then we don't have an issue? You know, it's simple. It's easy for you to sit there and say ignore them. But like I've said, you don't have 2 active police investigations open for threats around your family. You didn't have to put in security systems around your house because some sad fuckos are doxing you and threatening your kids. Your autistic child wasn't threatened to be raped. Mine was. So forgive me, I'll take care of how I want to react to things. And this is fun to me, by the way, this evening. I'm having a great time. And I'm in great mood. So, is Liverpool signing Barcola? I think so, mate. Yes, I think so. But, yeah, no, look, I'm still at the same high percentage that I was beforehand. I really, really, really think of all the business that we may do between now and the end of the window, that's the one thing I'm confident on, yes. Bison said, you told us, remember that when somebody comes in here, troll you, they're irrelevant, but you are relevant. Your subscriber base proves that. Don't forget it. I have a bit of fun with these people, and some people, did you not see the smile all the way through that exchange with them all? Like I'm a shithouse. I've said this for years. So this to me is fun. And a bit of pushing back on the trolls I like sometimes because it makes me smile and it lets me vent. So sometimes, yeah, it probably doesn't make for the best look of content at times, but like I challenge anyone to do a 2-hour stream and continue to just keep talking about football. It does veer off occasionally, and I don't know. I've really, really enjoyed this stream tonight. That's all I can say. I've had so much fun. Where are we at? Chad. Hope you're doing well, Craig. Feels like our beloved club is on the brink of disaster. We need a late comeback. I don't know, Chad. You seem to be in the emails and stuff, mate, that we've exchanged. You seem to be more stressed about this summer than I am. The truth is, I just don't know, mate. I don't know what to expect ahead. I'm fully convinced we don't have a deep enough squad. But, you know, I'm also optimistic about the coach. So I'm kind of a bit up, a bit down, a bit happy, a bit sad, a bit frustrated, a bit excited. I don't know what to expect, Chad. You know, today with the investment coming in as well, that certainly gives me optimism for the future because, you know, my take on FSG, it's, you know, pretty clear where I think they've fallen down over the years. So, you know, if these guys come in and do take over the footballing side of things and take a controlling stake, I'd like to think that that will lead to Liverpool becoming more competitive in the market, or at least going in at levels that we think we should be. But look, yeah, there's no guarantees. I'm unsure what to expect for the season ahead. But I feel really comfortable to say we're not equipped, and the squad's too small. So I guess I'm sort of tempering my expectations to what I think might be realistic. You know, is there a world where we have a magnificent season? Yes, but it probably is going to require some luck around injuries as well. But I don't know, man. I guess maybe part of today is a bit of a lot of the stuff that I've always tried to warn about has come out as being pretty true now. The people behind the scenes aren't as good as they were being made out, and it is a bit of a mess. And the things that I felt are now coming into the mainstream a bit more, and other people can see what I've said, why I felt the way I felt about certain things. Because when I come on here to talk about Liverpool, there are some things I'm told that I can't talk about. And there are some things for various reasons. Some of them because they're sensitive. Some of them because, you know, people's livelihoods are at stake. So I always know a bit more in some things than I can say. And with regards to the mess behind the scenes, I'm pretty confident that there's going to be a clean in the house, and Liverpool are going to bring in better people moving forward. Because just look at the director of football role over the last 10 years and look at how many people Liverpool have gone through in that position. And it should be a role that has stability. It should be a role that somebody's in for 5, 6, 7, 8 years to plan the future of the club. So I hope that that's the next evolution for the club. Whatever happens in the market, I hope we get some consistency in that role. I hope that we continue to recruit well of younger players. I hope that they get their chances, and that's one thing you would say that Donny Ariola does give us a really good chance for. And I'm long-term optimistic, but I do think there might be a few bumpy roads along the way, and I think the start of the season could be a bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Chaotic, up and down, bit of a hit and miss. DM Hate said, hope you're doing good, bro. Can't wait for Giovanni Leone to be back and looking like a beast. I was so pissed off for him and us when he picked up that ACL, because sometimes when you see a player, and I didn't know much about Giovanni Leone before we signed him, but sometimes you see a player on a pitch and it was pretty clear pretty quickly that we'd signed somebody very promising in that position, even at the tender age of 18. So to see him pick up that injury in the 86th, 87th minute of that game, it was devastating, because it would have been lovely to see how the season progressed from last year and, maybe how many games he would have gone on to play. But we have a player on our hands, definitely. And I think, if I'm not wrong, his mum's a physio, so maybe that would have helped him as well in the recovery. But yeah, he looks like a quality centre-back. And, if Jacquet is as good as we hope as well, then that could be the basis of a partnership for the next, 6 to 8 years, maybe more. The Alstrom, how are you, my friend? And one more thing, sorry, just one more final thing on the trolling. You know what you never see me do? I'll never have a pop at somebody who doesn't have a pop first. I have a simple rule. Show me respect and you'll get respect. Show the chat respect and you'll get respect. So you'll never see me just have a pop at somebody for the sake of it. There's always a reason behind it. And I want you to know that, because anybody that comes in to ask a genuine question or to share some genuine thoughts on the club, you will always be welcomed in here, and you will always be treated with the dignity and the respect that you deserve. But if you come in with any other intentions, I'll either take the piss out of you, you'll be banned, or I'll vent, one or the other. But I promise you, like everybody you've seen tonight, you never see me have a go at somebody who comes in sincerely. And anyway, let me get to your comments, sir. Craig, you're the best, honest. I love your humour. Ever thought of doing a stand-up? I would pay to see that, especially talking about trolls. That's my dream job, mate. Only for the problem is I'm not very good at it. So I'm a huge fan of stand-up comedy. It's the thing that myself and my wife go out to a lot if we go to shows. And there's a reason that I wanted to do our live shows in Liverpool at the Hot Water as well, because I wanted to see what the environment of being on a comedy club stage was like. And I loved it. I loved the moments of being there. And I'd love to have a go at stand-up comedy, but I can't tell a joke to save me life. And I wouldn't even know how to go about it, nor do I think I'd be good enough. But thank you for the kind words. And you've kind of hit on what is my dream. I'd love to have a go at stand-up comedy, but I'm just, I'm not a good joke teller or anything like that. I'd have to just do crowd work or something, but that'll probably end up with me getting the head punched off me at some point. James said, it's 2026, of course it's okay to swear. I'll let you in on a secret, James. The very people who were sitting there talking, bitching about the language never had any intention of saying anything positive. They were waiting for me to say something that just gave them the confirmation bias they were looking for. That I'm an asshole, that they don't like me, and that now they have a reason to have a pop at me. That's it. It's as simple as that. Nobody with a straight face can talk about swearing being a deal breaker on anything. Because little Johnny and Mary out on the street, they're swearing. Your solicitor's swearing, your school teacher's swearing, everybody swears. Just some people like to pretend they're better than others and don't. I'm Irish. It's my God-given right to swear. The Billionaire Avengers come together. You happy? I wouldn't say I'm happy, David, mate. I wouldn't say I'm unhappy. I'm cautiously optimistic because there's so much we don't know about the situation yet. And when there's a lot we don't know, I think some nerves are healthy. So it'd be very interesting to see if they do take up their option to become controlling shareholders in the next 12 months. That I'm going to be fascinated by. What impact on the day-to-day they have. What maybe synergy we see between some of the companies of maybe Jeff Bezos and Liverpool. I mean, Mo Chatra's brilliant thread earlier on was talking about the fact that Liverpool have two big sponsorship opportunities coming up over the next 12 months, the front of shirt and the sleeve sponsor. So will we see Amazon, IMDb, or another one of Blue Origin, is that a space company? Yeah, I'm excited. And will there be any kind of leaning on the expertise of Amazon Web Services or their logistics partnering? Yeah, there's loads of stuff like that you can certainly see the potential for expertise and knowledge to be added in certain areas. Yeah, so I'm excited by it, like I said, but without knowing the ins and outs of it as fans, you always cautious of someone's intentions for your football club. Give it to these trolls, Craig. You do you. Love you, buddy. And right back at you, Chad. It's such a simple thing with me, dude. Do you know what I mean? I don't like certain TV shows, so I don't turn on BBC. You see a show I don't like and ring up the BBC shouting at them that I don't like this show. I change the channel. And this is the part that gets me about all of these people. I hate you, yeah, here I am. It's weird. I don't understand why anyone would subject themselves to things they don't like by choice. It's just a weird place to be in. Honestly impressed when Craig goes off for 5 minutes with a troll. I would not. I would run out of things to say after a few sentences. Oh no, dude. I have a lot of thoughts. A lot of thoughts on the old trolls, mate. From their incel improv routines to a lot of other stuff. There's so much I'd love to say about it. And I won't lie, sometimes I do jot down my thoughts about trolls because I find it cathartic to write them down and get it out. Craig, could you give your predictions for Machia versus Ian Gary? Oh, I wouldn't even know how to give you a prediction for MMA, mate. I'm a casual fan at best. Boxing is, my other sporting passion. But I want Ian Gary to win because obviously he's Irish. I've got a few signed Ian Gary things. And I'd love to see an Irish champion. So I hope for the best, but I wouldn't even know how to give you a prediction because I just don't know the UFC or MMA well enough. Hate watching is a known phenomenon these days. It's weird though. Like, I don't get it. I don't get it, but I do. I guess I do have a tendency to watch stuff that makes me cringe. You watch something where you're like, oh, maybe that. But hate watching, I don't do the hate watching thing. I just avoid the things in life that make me angry. We need signings. Where's the money, John? Well, we know where it is now. 1.4 to 1.6 billion pound of it is in his pocket. I'm late to the party again. Am I hearing correctly? Götze and Torres in Paris doing medicals. Maybe. One sec. Yes. Romano said that, yes. Sorry, I was just checking my notes for the later on video. Right, I'm going to leg it, folks, and go and record a late night update video because there's 5 or 6 stories that I haven't even gotten around to yet that I'm going to cover in this late video. I think I'll be live tomorrow night, but I'm not 100% sure about it. But the plan will be to be live at 8:30. I know there's a podcast clip going out in the morning. If you can hit that like button for me before you head off, that would really be appreciated. Podcast is up as well. If you want to check out AnfieldAgenda.com, you can listen to the podcast on there. You can listen to it on Spotify, of course. That episode of myself and Connor went out earlier on today. I'll be here tomorrow evening with a news video, hopefully for a stream tomorrow night. But definitely we'll be back here for the 2 games on Sunday. Connor's kind enough to do the early watch along, and then I'm doing the 6 p.m. Como game. So we'll see you guys there. Appreciate all your support as always. As I said many times, we wouldn't be anything without your incredible support. Appreciate you being here with us. Thank you for giving up some of your Friday for a chat. And love to you and all of your families. I wish you nothing but the best. We'll see you